Hello and welcome to What the Fuck Am I Reading? So since we last spoke, I finished a total of 6 books and several novellas. First of all, since it's been a while since we've spoken, I've been watching the Lord of the Rings show and I actually fucking love it. I'm so surprised. I'm so happy that it's actually good. I'm not taking any criticism regarding, oh my god, but Galadriel with the dirt. Just shut up. Just don't bother. But I've been loving it. I hope you guys enjoying it too, but oh my god, I'm so happy about it. Also, House of the Dragon. I'm happy that I decided to give it a try. Like, it's been good. It's been good. Regarding the reading, I finished the first Binding. It only took me like 3 weeks to finish. I have very mixed feelings with this book because in a way I can appreciate it, but on the other one it's so similar to The Name of the Wind. So similar. I hate when people say this and it's just like a kind of biographical type of story where a character is just telling their life story. I hate when people compare that to The Name of the Wind because it's mostly not accurate. But this one is actually one of the few books that I've read and it was giving me Name of the Wind vibes all the time. And I just don't like The Name of the Wind. So the fact that it was reminding me of it all the time made me judge this book from the beginning. And the thing is, I find the story interesting, but there's nothing happening for the first 60% of this book, and 60% of nothing is just too much for me. Like, there's a lot of character development, which fine, but I need more. And I'm so tired of the trope of kind of bandit leader, a boy that just has a group of children and they are depending on him. I'm just bored of that. I'm so bored of that type of trope. Like, it's just, I don't know why, but it just bothers me so much. I think it's one of the few things that bothers me from Empire of Silence. It doesn't have like a gang on itself or main character Hadrian, but he does go through that phase where he's just like a thief and like a child thief and such. It's just so boring to me. I don't know why, but it's just, it bores the hell out of me every single time that I read it. And there's a good portion of this book about that. And also, oh my god, he has like a broken instrument. Please, I'm being extra harsh, even though that I gave it like 3 stars. Like, it's not bad, but also the writing style is very flowery. I think he's a great writer, but this type of writing is definitely not for me. And sometimes I can appreciate it if there's something actually going on in the story. For example, I'm not someone who pays really much attention to the writing style because I just don't care. You may have like a very flowery style or a very simple one. But the thing is, if there's something going on in your story, then I'm fine with it. For example, I think Ken Liu has a great writing style. Like, he's good at writing. And that gives the story like an extra. But there's a base story there. In the first binding, I'm saying 60%, but that's being extremely generous. And nothing happens. Like, he's just literally wandering around in the present timeline. And in the past, he's just like, yeah, he was a child thief. And then he was kind of in a circus for a bit. It wasn't really a circus, but I'm being extra salty for some reason. I don't know. I'm really sad that I didn't like this book because I've heard nothing but praise about it. And it felt the same way as The Justice of Kings. A lot of hype, but there was nothing behind it. And I'm so mad because I really wanted to love this book. I was really looking forward for something that wasn't European inspired. So looking forward to it, but this time it didn't make the cut for me. Will I try book 2? I don't think so, honestly, because even though the ending was good, the final chapters were great, I don't think I can manage like another 600 pages of nothing to then just have 100 pages of really cool stuff. You know, So for now, I'm staying away from the series. If the people who have like the same opinion as me read this and actually like book 2, then I'll try it. But for now, it's no, I'm sad. As I told you, I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. It's definitely not a bad book. It's more of a me thing, but it's just not working for me. So because I wanted something lighter after reading that, I read 2 graphic novels. The first one is one that I had already started, but I was putting away for some reason. The Department of Truth. I've been really liking following Tinian's graphic novels in general. I think they really vibe with me. They're mystery horror novels. He's the same author as The House of Slaughter, as Something's Killing the Children. Really excited. But this is about a world where when someone believes something, it becomes true. So they have the Department of Truth to get rid of that stuff. For example, flat earthers are actually making the earth flat and such. So it's a really cool concept because technically believing in something makes it real. So is it really real? It's very cool. I really liked it. The ending was great. I will 100% continue. If you like very kind of weird sci-fi horror-y stories, I will highly recommend you try it. It's great because the main character has this fear of this monster that he thought was real when he was a child, and now he's thinking about it, so he's making it real. It's so cool. It's so cool. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. The same as with this one. This is House of Slaughter, which is a spin-off series to Something is Killing the Children, which is one of my favorite graphic novels. Probably the second one, because the first one is Sandman. But dude, Something is Killing the Children is so good. And this one is set on the same universe, but we're going to follow a character that dies. Something is Killing the Children, actually. So you get his backstory, which is cool because apparently it's going to continue. So I'm very happy about that. But yeah, I quite enjoyed this one. It gives you a little bit of more like background on the whole House of Slaughter, which is the house that basically deals and trains children to become monster hunters. And I don't know, I find it really interesting. It's not as good as Something's Killed the Children because Eric is the fucking best. But yeah, I'm really excited to continue, and I cannot wait for volume 6. No, 5? Volume 5 of Something is Killing the Children. Then I finished the book for our book club, Prince of Fools by Mark Lawrence, which I had already read. So this was a reread for me. I have to say that I actually lowered the score this time because I found Jalan to be so irritating this time around. Holy shit. Until the last part of the book, I could barely stand him. So I was so annoyed all the time having to follow him, basically. He's also an unreliable narrator, and he's a liar. He's just everything. The character is great, but he's so annoying at first. Maybe it was because I was, I don't know, in a weird mood or something, but I wanted to punch him so badly this time around. Honestly, even though York is fucking literally piece of shit, I much prefer him to Jalan. I rather follow the fucking evil guy. He's fucking evil. Like, there's nothing redeeming about him. You cannot change him. He's a fucking piece of shit. There's nothing else in there. But I don't know, as a character, I find him more interesting to follow. But not even interesting because he's disgusting. But Jalan made me so annoyed. So annoyed. I'll talk about this book more on the wrap-up. I decided to make a wrap-up for the monthly books every 2 months and just combine 2 reviews on one, because I feel like 1 review per month is just, I don't know, kind of sacrificing a video. I don't know, it's weird, but I have decided to just make 2 reviews on 1 video. It happened. I didn't update you. I don't think so, or did I? Yeah, I did on my TBR, but I did read Speaking Bones, which is the last book in the Dandelion Dynasty, and I'll summarize it. This is now my favorite series of all time. I just don't think a series can be done this greatly. It's just my brain cannot process this series still. Like, I cannot believe that such a huge story is condensed in 4 books, because there's so much going on. You feel like you know every single character, to the depths. Like, you know every single one of their motivations. I'm sorry, it's just so heavy, this fucking book. You know every single one of their motivations, every single one of their insecurities of every single character you follow, and some of the surrounding ones. And you also know every single part of the culture of these different people that appear here. I'm just going to play it vague in case you haven't read the first book. But there's so much. There's also like remembrance from people, from characters that died and they're still present. And every action has its consequence. Like, nothing feels empty. Like, some decisions from book 1 are still showing up in this fucking book, which takes place years later. Years later. Like, it's generational. You're basically going to follow the Dandelion throne. Like, that's why it's basically called the Dandelion Dynasty. You follow different generations of this house. And I just cannot explain it. If you're looking for magic, there's no, like, magic in this series. They're definitely gods, and they sometimes use magic. There's magic in book 1, but it's not prevalent at all. Like, it's there, you know that it exists, but that's it. I'm really emotional still thinking about this book. Like, it's very hard for me to talk about it because I just literally cried like a baby while reading it. I just had like this feel of closure of that it was ending, and I wasn't ready for it. I'm kind of crying. And I don't know. It was great. It was great. What a great conclusion. I kind of want to cry now. But it was such an epic conclusion in so many ways. I was devastated for most of this book. But literally, just like the last 3 pages made for all the suffering of this series. Like, completely. I was so happy. Like, finally something like wholesome and good and fine, and I've been waiting for this for so long. Oh my god. I just loved it. I think this series is so worth it. So worth it. I really want to record, like, when I'm feeling better about it, when I can talk about it without kind of crying. I really want to record like full review for the series, but it's amazing, man. It's amazing. The series is great. I gave all the books 5 stars. The Bale Throne and Speaking Bones were meant to be a single book, but they are massive, so they had to separate them. And definitely the Bale Throne lacked some things and I ended up giving it 4.5 instead of 5 stars, basically. So it's kind of my least favorite, but everything that happened there was there for a reason. It impacted everything here, and I don't feel like speaking anymore. But yeah, I was a mess the moment that I finished this. I straight up was sobbing. It's been such a long time since I like actively cried with the book. I'm not really an emotional person while reading. It's very hard for a book to make me cry. Of course, some exceptions, Sword of Kagan, for example. The Poppy War, the last book, oof, I had a good cry. But this one, it was such a different feeling because I wasn't crying because I was sad, because everything was sad. I was just crying because I just couldn't imagine the fact that the series was over. And it was ending, and it felt like such a definitive ending that I couldn't handle it. So I was literally reading while listening to it. I had to take my glasses off and I was just sobbing with tissue here. It was disgusting, but yeah, I obviously gave this one 5 stars. I just cannot talk about the series enough. It's amazing. If you haven't tried it, please do it. It's the most epic fucking fantasy that I've read. Forget fucking Brandon Sanderson. Forget everything. This is what truly epic fantasy feels like. Like, it's such a gigantic story with so many consequences. every single good or bad act has consequences. It's just fucking insane. Oh, I'm going to stop now. Let's just go. Oh, no, that's better. So because I was devastated, I just needed like something to just get my mind out of that book. And I read Severance by Lena, which I was really excited about. This is a dystopian novel, and if you like something like Station 11, you're probably going to really like this, because this is also like this type of dual timeline, before the apocalypse and after the apocalypse. And you're going to follow, is it Catherine? Candace. And she's a very interesting character. I find following her very interesting. She's definitely messed up, but I don't know. I actually really like this book. It had like some straight up points that it was just like, wow. And you know, some hard-hitting topics like feeling alone and not belonging. There's a lot here. I actually highly recommend this one. I won't spoil anything. Literally just go into this one blind. That's what I did, and it worked beautifully. I gave it 4 stars, probably even 4.5. Read it in a day. I was sucked into it. I felt like I could breathe after those emotions from speaking books. So yeah, I highly recommend this one. Then I read 2 novellas because I'm about to finish Promise of Blood. So I decided to read Forsworn, which is about the escape of a mage from Cairns? I don't remember exactly the name. But basically in that part of the world, magic is forbidden, so she has to flee. Well, magic, powder mages are just banned, so she has to flee and come to Atro. And then the other story that I read was Servant to the Crown, which is a Thomas prequel story, which I really like. He's my favorite character. I just love the old, grumpy, but very like lawful general trope. I just really like it. So I give both of these 4 stars. If you're interested in the powder mage world, highly recommend that you try it. But if not, you're fine with just reading Promise of Blood. So I'm about to finish my read of Promise of Blood. I'm just including the book here instead of next week because I have already talked about this series, but I just love it just the same as the first time that I read it. I'm sure that I'm going to give it 5 stars again. I'm literally like 40 pages left. I just love it so much. I just had forgotten like how many stakes there were. I'm just loving it, and I cannot recommend this one enough, honestly. Like, Promise of Blood is fantastic. The Powder Mage trilogy is fantastic. If you like military fantasy, political intrigue fantasy, you're going to love this series. Like, it's just good. You know what? I'll talk about it more when I finish it again. So yeah, those were all the books that I finished this week. Have you finished any books? I'm just a mess. I'm gonna go. So just let me know down in the comments below, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.